Have you ever gone to a bar, you ask for an old fashioned, and then the bartender asks you if there's a particular type of whiskey you want in it? And, maybe you want to venture out of just doing what's in the well, but you're not sure what to choose from the options. Then this is the video for you. I'm just going to do a list of my favorite, I think this is 6 or 7 whiskeys to use in an old fashioned. So let's go. So when I used to go to bars with friends, I'd get a lot of friends that ask me, what should I get in my old fashioned? What kind of whiskey and this and that. So I just thought it'd be interesting to kind of narrow it down to my top. I think this is 6 or 7. I don't know. But I have a handful of whiskeys that I like to use in old fashions. This is typically what I order at a bar or what I make at home. I've experimented and tried a lot of different bourbons and ryes. There's a lot that I like, but I just wanted to narrow it down to kind of a smaller list. So this is just my favorites. It's not the end all be all, but yeah, hopefully this helps you at least get a starting point if you're someone that wants to explore more whiskeys and your different types of bourbons in your cocktails. So let's go ahead and start. The first one I'm going to go with is actually a rye, and I'm going to go with Michter's rye. Now, I don't have this one on hand right now. I finished mine at a bottle kill before I moved over here. But that is like a staple for me whenever I go to this place called Edmund. Crazy enough, they actually have Michter's rye in their well, which is incredible. And if you know Michter's rye, you know it's good. That's a staple rye for me. It's one of the first ryes I fell in love with. It's coming in at, I think, 86 or 89-ish proof, I want to say. I believe it's sub 90. I forgot to look that up before doing this video. And I don't at this point typically like whiskeys that are below 90 proof. I like to be above 100. But that one always stands out to me. It is great in an old fashioned, despite the proof. It has such rich flavor. And for a rye, it's still nice and soft. It still has some sweetness, maybe some citrus character, and all the rye spice you would want. And it really stands up in an old fashioned despite that lower proof point. So I would highly recommend a Michter's rye old fashioned if your bar has that on supply. Now, the next one I'm going to go with, and some of these I forgot to mention might be a little tough to find at your bars. I don't know. I have places I frequent that tend to have these options, so yours might not. But one that they'll definitely have is Wild Turkey 101. It would be crazy, I think, for a bar to not have this. This is one of my go-to old-fashioned bourbons. That's why it's so empty. You got the 101 proof, so it stands up in the cocktail, which is important. For me, I don't like to have a cocktail, especially an old-fashioned, where it just kind of diluted and watered down. Dilution is an important part of the process, but it's important to me to still be able to taste the whiskey, and the bitters and the sugar should just elevate that. Elevate what the whiskey has to offer. And Wild Turkey 101 is a good one. It's bold. It's got good proof on it, yet it has a nice sweetness to it. So for me, I always call it Wild Turkey sweetness. If you listen to my podcast, you've heard me say that 100 times. They just have a unique kind of flavor to them. Sometimes, to me, it stands out as maybe like a bubble gum. And if I want to be even more specific, like a juicy fruit kind of bubble gum, if you've ever had that, that might be kind of a stretch. But so that's just the closest flavor it can remind me of, that Wild Turkey sweetness. That's the best way I can quantify it. So Wild Turkey 101. And again, pretty much every bar has this. I say go for it if you're unsure and you want to do something that's also not going to break the bank. 101's not like a super expensive bottle. So if you do upgrade from a well to something like this, I think you'll be in good shape. So Wild Turkey 101. An honorable mention to go with that would be Old Forester 100 proof. I had one of those bottles for a while, but I killed it pretty fast with my friend. We made a lot of old fashions with it. I know that some places, like I believe the Cove Cocktail Bar in West Covina, uses that as their well. Maybe it's the 86 proof one or whatever, but I think they use the 100. That is a really good one as well. A different flavor profile, but offers a similar in terms of its boldness, its proof point, how it stands up in the drink, and its sweetness. A different kind of sweet, but it just makes a really nice old fashioned. Now, another one that I'm going to call an honorable mention is Old Grandad 114, just because I feel like a lot of bars don't carry this, at least as far as I know out here. So there's Old Grandad Bottled and Bond is, of course, like another staple one. And that's one that I find there's definitely a grouping of LA bars that is their well bourbon, and you would not be disappointed with that. It's a high rye bourbon, so the spice notes kind of stick out. You get a little cinnamon, a little bit of a citrus note on it, which is really nice. Right now, I'm drinking the 114th variety. So this is one that I make more so at home, and honestly, like not that much. I, funny enough, don't go to this as often as I would think because I just really love 114 alone with like no ice, nothing. But because it's got that 114 proof, it really stands up in the cocktail. And again, a little orange citrus, a little cinnamon. It's really nice. But one that I kind of keep on deck, but I finished it recently, was Old Grandad Bonded, which is the 100 proof version. And you can get that for like 20 bucks, I think 25 maybe at the most. So if you, that would be a good option for your home bar, or if you see it, you know, in the well, or is like a non-expensive option at your local, you know, establishment, then that would be a good one to try. Now, the next one I'm going to go with is Eagle Rare. And by the way, I did forget to mention this at the beginning of the video, but when I'm talking in an old fashioned, I just mean the most basic way of making it. Sugar, Angostura bitters, and then the whiskey. There's no muddling fruits or oranges or any of that crazy stuff. Yeah, Angostura bitters. You can experiment with more different types of bitters. I've used orange and peach and different things. But I'm going off just what I believe, you know, is the most kind of classic way to do it. And that being a sugar cube, or in my case at home, I used to do sugar cubes, but lately I've just been doing simple syrup just because it's easier. So a simple syrup in my bar spoon, and then I stir it up in a mixing glass. So I don't measure it. I just do whatever the spoon carries, and that's it. I know some people say a quarter ounce. And as far as the dilution, I've heard people say like you got to stir it 30 times or a certain amount of time. I would love to hear from bartenders out there or anyone that's like a big mixologist person to let me know like what you do. That'd be cool to hear. I just hold my mixing glass at the bottom here and I stir it until I feel it get cold on my fingers. Then I know it's chilled. And usually for me, that's provided a good balance without over or under diluting the drink. I'm going to say Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace, 10-year-old Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This is coming in at 90 proof. When I first started drinking old fashions, this was my go-to, and anytime a friend asked me what they should get, this was always the choice. I was like, Eagle Rare Old Fashioned. Everybody always fell in love with it, and it became kind of their regular drink. That was granted about 9 years ago. So I know Eagle Rare at this point is a little pricier. Not everybody always has it. It's more allocated. At that time, it was a different era where it was $35 and you can find it pretty much everywhere. So I understand maybe it might be a little too pricey. I feel like it's kind of gone down, but it might be pricey or your bar might not have it. But if they do, I would highly recommend trying an Eagle Rare Old Fashioned. I don't think it's a sin to throw this in a cocktail. Some people might disagree. Eagle Rare is good, but it's not like the end all be all of bourbons over here. Now I'm going to throw in another rye. This might be harder to find at your local bar, but I'm going to go Frey Ranch Rye. This is from Nevada, 100 proof rye, bottled and bond, and also 100% rye. There's no corn or malted barley or anything in the mash bill. But man, does this make one of my favorite old fashions ever. This was actually in the well of one of my favorite bars that I go to all the time, Edmund. And this was my go-to always. I actually made another one right here. I haven't had it in a while, so let's taste it up. And this is a craft distillery from Fallon, Nevada. But don't sleep on their stuff. Their rye is really, really good. Their bourbon's good as well, but I definitely prefer their rye. So here we go. Yeah, that's good. It just gives you that spice, a little bit of citrus. And for being 100% rye, it's not like pure rye bread or black pepper. It always has a lot of great flavor. It doesn't come out too spicy. The 100 proof stands up really well in the old fashioned. This may have been sitting a little bit too long, so I think it over diluted. But yeah, I think if you see it, it's also a 6-year-old rye, which is pretty good. But if you see this at your bar and you do like rye, if you're a rye drinker, then you definitely need to give this a shot. Like drink it neat. This is like literally, no one talks about this enough. This is one of the best ryes, in my opinion, on the market. It's like $60, maybe $55. It's so good, especially for being pure rye all the way. And it just makes a hell of an old fashioned. It stands up so well, especially when you get it fresh. Mine has been sitting a little too long. But Frey Ranch Rye, if you can find it, try it. And again, if you're a rye drinker and you see the bottle, just grab one. Just grab one. Trust me, and drink it neat. You know what I mean? I'm going to do another one from Frey Ranch. This is their Farm Strength Uncut. Again, this is one that, as far as I can see, not a lot of bars have. Again, it's a craft distillery from Nevada. This is their bourbon, uncut and unfiltered, coming in at 124.3 proof. And I believe this is a 4 grain. Yeah, so this is a 4-grain product, meaning that it has corn, rye, malted barley, and wheat. 66.6% dent corn, 10% winter wheat, 11.4% winter rye, and 12% two-row barley malted on site. And I did make one of these here. So I like high proof old fashions more often than not. Just because, again, I think a good old fashioned just elevates the spirit that's already in the glass without making it too sweet or too bitter. And places that do that really well would be somewhere like the Cove Cocktail Bar in West Covina and the Edmund, where they're always perfectly balanced. I mean, mostly consistently, right? And sometimes I like to do these higher proof ones where I get a little more of that whiskey taste. And it is always a hitter for me. So here we go. I made one right here. Yeah, that's damn good. Whenever I drink Frey Ranch bourbon, I get like a milk chocolate note, or like a, maybe not chocolate malted, but like a milk chocolate note on it. That's really nice. The rye spice comes through. You get still that kind of that weedy taste. It really does incorporate all those flavors all together. Chocolate being the predominant note for me, but with enough of like a punch and like that caramel hit and that spice hit from the proof, that really makes it stand out in the glass and in the cocktail. Yeah, it's so good. Especially if you already like this whiskey, like you do this kind of this uncut, unfiltered one in the old fashioned, it really stands out and does what any good cocktail should. You can taste this whiskey, you taste the, you know, the root of it all, which is the spirit itself. And then just elevated by the sugar and the bitters without taking away. But I'm going to get into the last one right now. Here we go. Old Forester 1920. This should be another one that I think isn't too hard to find. 115 proof Old Forester. I mean, there's a period where I would say this is my absolute favorite old fashioned. I mean, all of these are good. My top 3 would definitely be these 3. I think they're tied, and then Michter's comes very close. But for a while there, I was like, 1920 old fashioned is like as good as it gets. It's everything I want in my cocktail. The perfect proof, the perfect balance, the flavors of, you know, you get that nice like cherry, a little bit of banana, like a lot of oak in it, a good amount of like black pepper spice. It's like just proofy enough at 115 proof. I encourage everybody. I think even if you're not into when it comes to drinking whiskey or bourbon neat, you know, maybe you struggle with that proof point, I think you should try this in the old fashioned and see how that plays out. You know, there's a period where my friend and I were very much into Old Forester's Whiskey Row series. We drink it a lot. And then one day I went to the Cove and I was like, you know what? I want the 1920 in an old fashioned, and it just blew my mind. It was the best thing I ever had up to that point. So this is definitely our go-to. Yeah, highly recommended. That's why I didn't make one for myself because I can't get too sloshed tonight, but yeah, these would be my favorites, everybody. I guess this is like a top 6 with those honorable mentions that I had talked about before. As far as old fashions go, this is what I like to do. These are kind of my go-tos, you know, and I've experimented with a lot of different ryes and bourbons, and even ones that I like to drink neat just don't always, I don't know, they don't always hit in the form of the cocktail, but these ones are consistently good. You got your lower proof options, you know, Old Grandad Bought in a Bottle, Old Forester 100, if you don't want to do 114, and then your high proof options. But yeah, anyway, I mean, that's going to be the end of this video. I'm definitely toast from all the cocktails I've been drinking tonight and making this video. I would love to hear from you guys. Leave a comment. Let me know. Like, obviously, there's a ton of different whiskeys you can use in an old fashioned. There's so many options. I just narrowed it down to my favorites. Let me know. Please leave a comment. I would love to hear about it. What is your favorite bourbon or rye to use in an old fashioned? Do you like to experiment with different bitters or different types of sugar, you know, whatever? Like, let me know if you've got any cool tips or tricks or like, you know, just all the stuff. There's a lot of variations on this. Is there a particular type of bitters that you think I should try out next? I mean, I'm pretty plain. I just like to do Angostura. Every once in a while, throw in a little orange, but mostly Angostura. But yeah, let me know. What are your favorite whiskeys to do in an old fashioned? Like, what should I try? And yeah, I mean, I'll leave it at that. But that's a wrap, everybody. Cheers.